Commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Roll call, please.
Paul Bear,
Here.
Jose Reyes,
Here.
Judy Nelson, Ken Shalay,
Here.
Grace Ann Kelly. Here. Philip Bellin,
Here.
Ryan Messier,
Here.
Jose Madero,
Here.
Brad Nelson,
Here.
Jeff Coletti,
Here.
Steve DiLorenzo, Daniel McDonald, Tara Kaczynski. Here. Tom Decker,
Here.
Megan Stanley. Here.
In present, pledge. Pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to open to the public for agenda on specific public comment. So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Suzanne Wilder, 424 Charlestown Road. I know for the fence ordinance, you're just reviewing it for consistency, but I do have one question in common. I don't know if I can say it then or say it now, my question. So I just, I guess it's number 7. So now you took out the word beer and changed it for the containment or exclusion of agricultural and or domestic animals. So my question is, if I don't have an agricultural animal or a domestic animal that I'm trying to fence in or fence out, would that fall under this? Like I want to protect some of my woods in the front. I just want to make sure that the way it's worded will be covered that, and I can't see that that's how it is covered, but maybe I'm just not understanding.
Okay,
And that's it. Thank you.
that's that one. We're up to that. Any other public comment? Motion to close the public. So moved.
Close.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We have the Robinson lot line adjustment, lot 36, lot 12, and lot 1201. Okay. Hopefully we'll get this finished up for you tonight. All right,
All right, before we start, just make notification that the required publication and notice has been provided. The board has jurisdiction to act tonight. There are sufficient people here to vote on the application. And we will mark as exhibit A1, the application and supporting documentation that was submitted. We'll mark as A2, the proofs of the notice. We'll mark as PB1, Tom Decker's letter of September 22nd, 2023, and PB2, Megan's letter of October 16, 2020. And you are on. You're welcome. And what I will do is, the 2 of you are going to be providing us with some testimony tonight.
If there's something that you need from us.
give me 1 second. Hey Lou, does everything seem okay on Zoom? Paul, can you hear us? Okay.
Yes.
Everything's fine. Yeah, Lou restarted and I logged in, and I think there's one other resident on the call as well. And audio for me is fine, and the video is fine as well.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so give us a.
Yes, Ryan.
Yes. go ahead. Okay.
I swear the testimony about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yep. Sure. Yes.
Okay, can you give us a high and a sky overview of what you're doing, why you're doing it?
And just give us your names for the record. too, just so-
Lynn Robinson and Chris Robinson.
Great, thank you.
So we're trying to move a lot line between 2 contiguous pieces of property that we own, to make one that is currently the larger of the 2 smaller, because the renters have expressed interest in buying it. However, the part of their lot is directly out my backyard. So we want to move the lot lines so that the part that we see from the house is attached to our lot.
So now both of these, there are two different zones that you're in?
So apparently so, we were not aware till we came here that that was a circumstance, the lot that was divided off. Historically, my sister believed that she had combined the 1.5 acre lot into her larger tract of property, which was all whatever it is, the 5 acre mountain residential. However, apparently that didn't happen, and so it picked up our lot, which was mostly mountain residential at the time, picked up the 1.5 acres from the development.
If I may.
And always regular. Swear the testimony about to give this board is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes. And I'm Mary Mott, just here because I am her sister. I am the one that did the original subdivision that created her lot. And just for the history, so you have the record is clear, when I inherited the property from my father, he had just purchased the little lot that was next door to the property, which had frontage on Norma Road, and that was a 1.5 acre lot that was zoned R15. When I inherited the property, I got rid of that lot line and I merged that little 1.5 acres into the original bigger piece that I owned. Later on, I went to go subdivide off 5 acres for my sister. At that point in time, everything was done pursuant to the mountain residential zoning. The lot that was created, which is now Lynn's original lot, which is what, I don't know the numbers. But anyway, the one that we're looking to make bigger now, was 2/3 of that, that lot was taken out of my piece, which was all mountain residential, except for that little tiny piece that was up front, that was the R15. Which, like I said, I'd gotten rid of that lot line prior to this subdivision. The new lot was created pursuant to the mountain residential R5 zoning. I don't know why it was zoned R15. It shouldn't have been zoned R15. My recollection at the time we did this was that everything was supposed to be mountain residential, but it was 30 years ago. And so for some reason, Lynn's lot ended up being zoned R15, which obviously doesn't make any sense. And I understand now that you have this problem with the two different zones. I know Lynn and Chris won't mind if it was corrected to the mountain residential, because that's what it should have been 30 years ago. And if you have any questions as to what was created 30 years ago, I can answer those for you, but I just want to give you a little history. Like I said, I think this was just a mistake that was made 30 years ago about the zone.
Did you get a variance for the frontage?
30 years ago? I think that was in compliant 30 years ago. I can't remember, but it was, like I said, it was 30 years ago they created the lot. That frontage was the frontage that, and I had to look at the old tax maps, but I'm pretty sure I didn't add to, I think that was the original frontage of the original lot that I got rid of, and then we cut the extra piece off. The original R15 of the lot was right here, and it was close to the neighbor's house and close to my house. I lived there. Nobody wanted anybody to build there because it wasn't attractive. This is where Lynn built was the attractive piece. Like she says, the field that she wants to subdivide off and now put is her front yard, and it's just a beautiful piece of property, and it's a beautiful view. And this one's reserved.
So just to be clear, you're looking at the lot 12 will be the lot that you'll be selling off, and then the 1201 is where you guys are keeping that.
Did you measure that frontage on that? Because it doesn't spell it out, it's a radius, for the, for lot 12.01.
I think I had that on our favorite.
Yeah.
It is in one of those tables because we documented it in our notification letter that it would require variance.
Yeah, the 12.01 frontage. And that section was in the 1.5. Frontage is at 114.82. And what's required in 1.5 is 212. So it's an existing non-conforming.
Right. That's why I was asking if there's, do we know if there's an existing variance?
That I don't know.
No, it's obviously not conforming, but regarding.
This clarifies, so you understand, one of the reasons, the septic system is right here, it's up in the hill, so you couldn't move this lot anyway because of where the septic system. Right.
Well, our map, is this one lot stand out as a R 1.5, because it's completely surrounded by it, not residential.
Yeah, but I mean, it's, yeah. What year was the Normal Road subdivision?
Norma Road, that'd be like 1979.
It was before 79.
Was that? Was it Rose 70 or was it?
It was the earlier.
Oh, well, hold on, sir, we can't have you testify or provide any information, thank you.
So I mean, the only challenge that we have, is a split zone. You know, again, we try to not, we're trying to correct, if anything, over time, split zone properties. This is adding a split zone. The R15 with then the mountain residential, fortunately, they both have mountain residential size lots. They're both over 6 acres.
But are we creating this? If they would accept,
Well, we're not moving the lot line. I mean,
but I mean, if they would accept that this now is mountain residential, it's surrounded by mountain residential, wouldn't that solve the split zoning?
well, we can redraw the line as far as what our zone is. Now, who's looking down the road, when we're selling off property, I mean, do we make it so that future setbacks are within the mountain residential framework?
Yeah,
I think would make sense.
yeah.
Um,
Because I see this as standing out because it's R 1.5 surrounded by mountain residential. I don't know there's a little piece of a lot that might continue down the road that might be R 1.5, but I mean, just like I said, it's surrounded by mountain residential. But you would be willing to accept this?
We believed
this
it was
setback?
mountain residential.
So I mean, the only thing is that, you know, it'd be a worse non-conforming use instead of being 200 feet. It would have to be 250, but it still doesn't conform to either one of
either
them.
one.
Correct,
So I mean, you know, we have to grant a variance, I guess, for that.
based upon the MR requirements, that's what we would be applying, that would be the more restrictive requirement. So
Right,
that's what we would make as a condition, and that's what the board would be looking to grant in connection with the subdivision.
right, yeah. And then is everything else, all the other setbacks, Tom, are they within good for mountain residential? We know that they have that,
We got the width,
Yeah, there's the lot, and again, that's an existing.
Yeah.
Condition. And then there was also, I believe
distance to the side. Side yard,
The property,
I think it's a rear.
the 111.
No, keep
No.
going down.
no, there's a,
That's pretty good.
yeah, the accessory building,
Oh, that's 44, okay.
that's probably that's 44.
I thought it was this minimum distance to the rear line, we're over 40 feet. I think it's just the minimum distance to other building.
Yeah, one, yeah,
So it's distance from one building to another?
Yeah.
And again, along with this one.
Yeah.
The proposed lot line doesn't exacerbate any of those setbacks, whether they go below. The property line doesn't exacerbate any of them.
and what's your feeling with us? With where that discussion is between R15 and non-residential, keeping this more consistent, not residential area.
Yeah, I think given the size of what the lot's gonna be, I think it's more consistent with the sizes of that residential. Would be, and I think that makes more sense, especially since it's really not exacerbating, any of the existing conditions. To that point.
The board members have any questions?
Also, just to remember, part of this application is to correct also the easement, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Stepping in line, where the driveway appears for lot
Lot 11.
11.
Yeah, just,
That's the easement code, right?
that's the easement, and basically the easement revision is so that it follows the existing drive.
Right.
So when the driveway was put in, it did not follow the original easement, so this is just correcting.
Trying to correct that now.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing- Opening everything else up.
Correct.
Doing everything just as, yeah, we're not in any way changing the meets and bounds description of the easement.
No, intention
Yeah, you're changing the meets and bounds of the easement itself.
Okay, so we're gonna have to then require, but everyone, they own all the properties,
Right,
so
and,
that's,
and
okay.
they, right, and they had that shown on, so
Oh,
what happened is the original easement will be
amended to
amended
show these.
to show.
Like it's something I make, it's very good to see.
Wrote it
You
down.
build a dream. Is it what you thought it would be?
Somebody coming up on, somebody has.
And totally different.
Edward, could you just identify yourself?
Yeah, this is Edward. I'm here with Edward. It's Edward the nephew and Edward Savage. We're one of the property owners that received a notification about this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll reach out to you for comments shortly. Let us finish the direct portion of the testimony for the hearing, and then we'll open it up to the public.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm muting myself now. Thank you.
That's okay. All right, so, refiling of recording.
What would we technically have to do to change that to amount residential?
Has to be done at the committee level. Or at least initiated at the committee level.
That's what I thought. So that means that they have to have another meeting before they get approval.
No. No, because we don't have the ability to change the zone. What we would be doing if the board was so inclined was changing the lot line that would then create a split lot in 12.01. It would remain that way, and as a condition of the approval that we would be granting, because they also have pre-existing non-conforming conditions, we would say that we're applying, because now it's going to be a split zone, applying the more restrictive requirements of the MR versus the R15, which technically It's not specifically stated in the statute, but usually that's the way that the land use law will be interpreted anyway. But we'll specifically say it so there's no question. And then should the committee decide down the road to do something with those with those zones in general, then that would happen.
Could we put a deed restriction as part of this, approval? That it has to use the MR zone?
What we can do is we can require a copy of this resolution to be recorded.
Okay.
Along with the properties. So in that way, that would satisfy that in any future property owner would skip.
Yeah.
More questions, board members, any questions? We open up to the public for any public questions on these witnesses.
Motion open to the public.
Second. All those in favor? Any questions from the public for either one of these two witnesses? Edward? Edward on Zoom? Lou, is he muted?
He muted himself.
Yeah, look,
Yes,
no,
he's muted, but he's come back. Edward, you
question.
okay? You're unmuted?
yep, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stand up and state your name, please.
Hi, Emmett Higgins, I own block 36, block 14, or building 209 on. And everyone's referring to the drawings, and I was wondering if the public could also see the drawings. Or have additional questions based on them.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna grab you a copy.
Small.
You don't need glasses, but it's small.
Magnifying glass.
We can come back to you. Any other questions?
Anybody here from the Robinson?
That's us.
Oh, that's you guys.
That's good. We own it. 11, 12, and 12. We don't know. We're trying really hard to preserve it.
We also own that wood lot
Okay,
in the back.
okay, so,
It was never my intent to own the whole mountain. It was not how it happened.
No, I was favorite.
so,
Do you have questions or you just?
No, if I could, having all the information, I want to express my support for their requests. We've heard a lot of references to historical changes in the land in this area, the subdivision of Norma. There's a lot of lot lines that were determined by early 20th century farm divisions. I have a lot that has a lot of those same complications. You'll probably see me here at some point next year. And I know that a little bit has some historical cleaning up to do. And I'm glad to see someone being proactive about it and going through the process, and I support the request that they're making.
Thank you. No other public questions? Motion to close.
Motion closed, public.
Great. Was in favor?
One last thing, just particularly for Kara and Tom, thank you so much for all of your help on the weekend. You guys rock. Appreciate it.
We haven't decided yet, then, don't we?
Regardless of how it turns
okay,
Yeah.
ask another question. Yeah. So you guys own this lot, but who lives here? Are you guys renting this?
Yes,
Okay.
and the renter is interested in buying it.
This one too, okay. So this is it.
What are you referring to? Lot 12?
This is the-
Was that-
Lot 11.
No,
This is lot 12.
Yeah,
That's rented.
that's the
No,
one.
this is for my mother's house, nobody lives.
Okay, because there are people listening that can't see what you're doing, I need you to vocalize what you're looking at.
Okay, so I was looking at lot 11. which is the lot that uses the
Easement.
easement to get to the back property. So I was just asking who lives there? A cat.
Mother lived there, but she passed away.
Okay, so you do plan on selling that at some point?
Right now, we're, weekly renting
Okay.
to, yeah,
Weekly rent?
well, on a very occasional basis.
Okay.
So it's not a bed and breakfast or a
Airbnb?
Airbnb, no,
Okay. Okay.
very specific set of people there.
She has a friend from the Red Cross that rented out every once in a while, and her here for long term.
Okay. Okay.
Any comments from board members? This is the widest application you've ever had.
We open it to public for comment, right? Question?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get a comment before that. That is Lou, that's your cursor, is that our cursor? The hand up? Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, then, all right, we need to make a motion.
All right, so what you're doing is your motion would be for action concerning a request for approval of a minor subdivision. In connection with that, you would be reviewing pre-existing non-conforming uses relative to pre-existing non-conforming conditions, excuse me, relative to minimum lot frontage based upon the MR district requirements, minimum lot width at setback, and minimum distance to other buildings with regard to both lots. The first two were just with regard to the proposed lot 12.01. Some of the things that we've discussed here are as conditions that the applicant agrees to apply the mountain residential requirements, which are the more restrictive requirements with regard to lot 12. The recording of an amended easement to comport with the new meets and bounds descriptions, and this is for the easement over lot 11. A copy of the resolution to be recorded with the deeds, I would recommend for both lots 12 and 12.01. And our other standard requirements, compliance with any open items with regard to the professional reports. Make sure any escrows are maintained. And I think that's pretty much it.
I'll make that motion.
Whatever you think.
I'll second.
Motion made, seconded, just to make sure that you guys do understand. So I guess your current house, which is in the R15, will then need to meet the mountain residential setback requirements and land use appropriate to that.
So
So,
we need variances for that, because, right? No,
well, no, it's
Oh, it's existing non-conforming.
everything is existing non-conforming, but if you make changes that
Okay.
do violate any of those setbacks, you would have to then come for a variance.
Anything that you build in the future would have to be.
And anything that's out of those numbers, which is listed on your plan. Okay,
And we'll list it in the resolution also.
okay, any further discussion?
Who was the second? Jeff.
Jeff? Okay, roll call please.
Okay, Paul Meyer,
Yes.
Jose Reyes,
Yes.
Judy Nelson. Not here. Grace Ann Kelly,
Yes.
Ryan Messinger,
Yes.
Jose Maderos,
Yes.
Philip Bellin.
Yes.
Brad Nelson,
Yes.
Ken Shalay,
Yes.
alternates David Carey,
So we had 8 so far. One more one.
Jeff Colletti,
Yes.
Great. You guys are finished.
What's gonna happen is we'll do a resolution, hopefully at the next meeting, that'll outline everything that happened tonight, your testimony, what was granted, what the conditions were. That'll be adopted by the board. There is an appeal period where anybody can file an appeal. That appeal has to be filed within 45 days of the day that Monica, we publish the summary, right? Once the resolution is adopted, Monica will publish a little summary in the newspaper that says that you got your subdivision granted. 45 days from that publication date, somebody has to file an appeal. And anybody here tonight, don't expect that to happen, just so you know, that's the situation. They may ask that as you move forward with the sale. That's typically something they may be concerned with, and in that, it's gonna have the conditions that we laid out, reporting and things like that. If you have any questions, just let us.
So how about the subdivision deeds? We submitted proposed subdivision deeds, you'll look at them and see if you want any changes to them.
Correct.
And then when we get those filed, so that you can see what the proposal.
Again, you can file them after, I would wait at least until we adopt the resolution. It's up to you whether you want to wait for the 45 days. All of that is at your own risk. So if there ever is any sort of appeal, that obviously is your safest time period to wait. But.
And also submit, the legal descriptions.
Yeah.
For review.
They're on the proposed deeds already. I did propose deeds. And they can submit it. If you'd like to submit it to somebody else, I'd be happy to do it.
If I have my files.
They're in it's in the free folder.
You want the original return receipts in there?
Thank you, thank you.
Take care.
Okay. All right, so we are the, fencing and walls ordinance. Before we look at that and find that consistent, let's just take a look at the what other has to say. So item number 7.
The last we spoke, we wanted to kind of expand on the concept of deer fencing. That's kind of what I came up with to do that. I think Ms. Wilder's question was if she wants to put an 11-foot fence or a fence not to exceed 11 feet in the front of her yard to protect the woods or whatever it is you have there, would that fall within that? I would presume that such a fence would also keep other animals from going into that area. So.
I don't think it says anywhere that it's to keep animals in. I mean, deer fencing is typically done to keep animals out.
But didn't we talk about the fact that?
So that we could
wanted
use,
both?
well, you could use it either way,
Yeah,
is what we said.
yeah, so that's why we didn't want, because deer fencing, you're right, has a connotation that you're looking to keep them out, but you
Right.
may have a situation where you want to prevent them to keep them in.
To keep them in, so I don't see how that would be limiting in any way.
I don't think so either.
We just read the definitions. Deer fencing is designed for the purpose of repelling or preventing the traveling or entry of deer. So
Right.
that's okay.
And then, but then we added, did we add something?
No, we took out deer fencing.
The definitions.
Yeah, it's here.
It's there.
It's here.
I don't know what I got. See it there, but this is the one that I sent you. I don't know why it's doing. Unless they made changes. I think something went wrong from this to that. Yeah, because this is the one that I sent over. Yeah. So this is completely different.
Okay, so guys, I have the red line version. I just didn't want everybody to be confused, but I did print them just in case.
So Kara sent the red line version to the clerk. And when she made she removed the red line, somehow it might have, it's appears that it shifted. So here's the red line version. This is the appropriate, whatever's in here is what should be the final
Because
version.
they wanted to see what the planning board had talked about, so that they could. Basically, the ethics, propose what we had discussed again the last meeting.
I'd say, yeah, so. You did remove the deer fencing is removed.
So the definition of
Fencing.
Correct.
It's just fencing now, okay. Got it.
yeah, because so then deer fencing can be defined as something that keeps animals in as well as out.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I just,
Make a motion to open the vote.
Come on. Thanks.
oh, she put it second.
All
Thank
in
you.
favor? Aye. Come on.
I just want to make sure that I'm not agricultural and it's not a domestic animal that I'm keeping out. Would my little fence to protect my woods and my front yard be covered under that?
Would he keep out here?
It keeps out deer,
There you go.
but it's not agricultural and it's not a domestic animal, so that's where I'm getting confused.
The way that it's worded. Fencing for the containment or exclusion of agricultural and or domestic animals.
Right,
Would they
what is
out?
a deer?
It's a wild animal.
Exactly. That's my point. That's-
What section said something about? Section? Seven?
Yeah.
And I think what you were doing, which you did capture, is, Alan Hunt wanted to make sure his chickens that he keeps in the fence and he wants to move to his front yard will fall, which I think that does, but I don't think deer is under the way that it's written, unfortunately. Because you took the word deer out,
Could it just be any animals?
exactly.
I don't know how we're going to differentiate, so I think probably any animal would be okay.
Yeah, I would just get
I think that-
agricultural and or domestic, to say animal.
Well, I think Mr. Hunt wanted to make sure that even though he's right to farm, but let's say he wasn't, that his chickens being fenced in and his tractor runs that he moves all over the place, it covers. So I think he wanted to make sure that that was there, but I'm fine with you removing it, honestly, but it's not, a deer is not a domestic animal and I'm not agricultural, so I just wanted to make sure I'm in compliance if I put in more fencing through my woods.
Well, you're covered.
Just animals?
Yeah, just animals. Get rid of agricultural and or domestic.
It's not domestic. It's not agricultural. Unless you decide to farm here, but.
Take motion to close the public comment? Second?
Is there anything else that you guys?
We'll just keep giving
Speak
you
now
one.
or forever hold your peace.
Anita, all in favor?
Aye.
Karen, my one question is, it was reintroduced at the committee last Thursday.
Yep.
We're making a change. Does that do anything or not?
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a motion in a second. Or do you have any concerns about whether or not this is substantially inconsistent with the master plan? Any comments, anything? Yeah, okay. We're gonna make a motion in a second to find this ordinance as amended with the change to just animal, that not substantially inconsistent with the master plan, no additional comments back to the committee. We'll leave it up to committee council to decide whether that is a substantial enough change to have to reintroduce and come back to it. That way we'll cover it both ways, and if they find that it's okay, we want it to come back here again. Yes,
I think you also have to make that same change. Under definitions for fence.
yeah,
where you refer to.
I think I pretty much
To containers.
cut and pasted, yep. Animals, so agricultural, or it's the exact same change under F if there, or actually F1 it becomes.
Right.
Right, it comes again.
Right. So we have a motion for that.
Yep.
Second. Motion made, seconded.
Jeff, that was your second?
Yes.
And that was Jose, that would be perfect.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Paul Miller,
Yes.
Jose Reyes,
Yes.
Judy Nelson, Grace Ann Kelly,
Yes.
Ryan Messinger,
Yes.
Jose Maderos,
Yes.
Philip Bellin,
Yes.
Brad Nelson,
Yes.
Ken Shalay,
Yes.
Jeff Coletti.
Yes.
Never want to see the friend.
Not as bad as the tree order.
I know the dollars.
All right, now, the final application with the changes, there's a copy in front of everybody. This was approved with the changes. But Monica did print it out for everyone to see the final product.
Patrick, were we supposed to deem the fence ordinance as compatible with the?
That's what we did.
That was what we did.
Oh, that was, okay.
That's the motion.
That's what you made motion.
I wasn't sure.
He's very thorough. To be honest.
That's what it was.
Okay. Want to know what I was agreeing to?
After I said yes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
All right, so. With that permit, I think that finally puts to bed the tree ordinance.
Now I can send that up to
And supporting documents.
Clark.
So that will over the clerk and. We are finished with that. Right. Public comment, anybody can go to the public?
So move.
Second.
Those in favor? Any public comments? Either on Zoom or in.
Suzanne Wilder, just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. And I apologize for not reading the fence ordinance when it first came out in whatever, August or whatever it was, but thank you.
Anybody else?
Andrew Laffey, 3 Farrow Lane. I had several questions. The first one is, does the resolution that's being presented to the committee to limit public comment for 3 to 5 minutes apply also to the planning board? No, so it does not, so, all right.
We have our own bylaws and there are our own rules here, so.
Understood.
The committee does what they do and what we do. We choose that in the beginning of the year when we do our bylaws.
Okay, in terms of, the master plan, is there any way you can give an update as to where the master plan currently stands?
There you go.
Thank you.
So we're in the process of reexamining the master plan that reexamined was done in 2012. So we've been meeting, or I'm meeting with the subcommittee to kind of go over it, provide recommendations, that type of thing. After the whole draft is done, we're expecting it to go before the public either end of the year or early next year sometime, so I mean, it's gonna be.
That's a little ways off.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in terms of, let me get the exact address. There's a matter that's open for, it's under the, Right to Farm Act, or whether the preserved land is a matter of, a property that's currently being sold. Are you familiar with the property? Currently has several cars. You can get your specific address here in a second.
Yeah, that's not,
The service in here is just really, really bad.
it's okay, if that's not a matter that's currently before the planning board, we really don't have the ability to discuss it. If you've got an issue, the zoning officer.
Okay, so see Mr. Fleming? Okay, all right, thank you.
No problem.
Suzanne Wilder for 24 Charleston Road. Regarding the master plan reexamination, there were some that were redone in 2014 also, correct? Some of the elements? Yeah, so, and you're the reexamination of all the elements of the master plan?
Everything that's been done since. I'll say we mostly look at the most recent ones, like 2012 is what is kind of the crux of the plan. Because that kind of built off of the previous one. So we're looking at what the policies were at that time, 2012, and then of course, anything that's happened since. So we're looking at the highlights because, you know, several elements have been proposed or have been adopted just to bring the town into conformance. So we're looking at all that.
So what if, we've asked this of the township committee that hasn't been done yet, as far as I know, the existing elements, all of the elements of the master plan be posted on the township webpage. And then when you're out of your subcommittee and you're ready for the public to review, then we'll have something to compare it with. So I would like to see the existing, all elements, not, apparently there is just part of one element on the currently on the township.
I heard about that tonight, so, Jose's gonna work with Monica, and
we've been asking for this for 3-4 meetings, and we still haven't gotten it. I think it's important that we get it on so people, as you said, can compare new one to what's there. And we're trying to get it before the whole thing gets to the environmental commission, because we want that to be available for the residents to see and be able to compare.
So where are you trying to get it from?
That's, we just. had a
I
bunch of
actually
stuff.
just took him into the office to look to see what was the relevant pages and documents that need to be loaded. And so I'm gonna work with Tom, who helped with that, so that I can make sure, I wanna make sure that the right documents get that it's not a draft, that it's a final document. And so that's been, I had a lack of clarity. So we're gonna get that. I'm hoping that I will do my best to get it by the next meeting.
Doesn't the planner have that, since they're going into subcommittee to review it?
I think what happened was back, the master plan review, we actually had a planner from our office who was a township planner at the time that worked on that. So those are the files that I think Monica was looking for.
But our planner isn't going in said they're meeting with subcommittees. They have to have something that they're looking at in their subcommittees.
We're looking at the
what do we
last reviews.
Then they have them.
No, the reviews.
Those are the review documents. I'm trying to make sure that you have the actual documents of the original information, so that you have, because one leads into another. So this one reviews the last one, which reviews the last one. But if you don't have the originals, you don't always have all of the content.
So the subcommittee is reviewing only the reviews.
The recommendations and reviews that were done in 2012.
12 or 14, whenever it was.
So to see whether or not, you know, they were implemented, not implemented, was there a problem, you know, things like that.
But don't you need to see the actual elements themselves, not just the
Could you
reviews?
explain what elements we can actually deal with, because we're not.
Ask a question. I'm sorry.
So, can you explain what elements we can actually? Because we fall under the Highlands, and we've accepted all the Highlands rules and regulations.
Yeah, so it is, so I understand where you're getting at, like, why are we looking at the earlier ones, and I will say too, the one from 2012 does look at that, and it's such an old master plan at this point, so many new regulations, and so many new policies have come into, like, into light. So that's why these things aren't done comprehensively every single time, it's really looking at really what has changed within the last 10 years. So there's so much of the original document that is not fully relevant anymore.
I'm still very confused, honestly.
All right, let's try to, what are we looking for
Well,
on
as
that
far
we
as
can load up that helps
the
you
master
and
plan, which will help all of us.
the original?
Now, the
The
original
elements, you
one,
say all the elements of it.
your planner did that, it should be in your company's file.
It should be, I have to take a look.
Would you? And then we'll start there.
I think you have to say the elements of the master plan, right? Because there's a number of elements, which I don't remember.
Right,
what
and
The
they are.
whole package,
Exactly.
I have to check our files to see exactly what we have, because
it's been a while.
our office was a township planner for, I think, maybe 2 years, and then
Who was that at the time?
it was, Dave Maskey.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
name doesn't
he-
even
he
ring
was-
a bell.
Because he was only the planner for a couple of years, and he took the position elsewhere. He left the firm.
And
But it was Lisa.
Yeah, we're looking highly at the Highlands element, because that's something that completely changed.
So that's your major focus,
And that's
because
one of
that's
the
the
biggest
biggest.
focuses, because it
That's
has really
what
just
controls this whole town.
regulated.
Well, I understand that, but just for completeness, I think we'd all like to see everything to make sure that nothing got changed underneath without the public knowing also. I'll leave it up to Jose.
You can't just change it.
No, I understand. I understand.
It's not a document you can erase and just change.
It's not
It
quite
is
what I
brought up and
meant,
voted on and
not quite what I meant, but.
So the Highlands Council should have a copy of our master plan that they approved. And, you know, so that, and any master plan that we adopt, and correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, we have to submit to the Highlands
Mhm,
first for their approval.
mhm.
So, you know, they're gonna check to see, does everything match up from the copy that they have? When we, again, accepted the Highlands, you know, and we adopted the Highlands rules for the planning area, and, you know, so all of that is with the Highlands. So the Highlands is gonna check to see that everything that we're doing is consistent from the last master plan to this one as well.
But
And, you know,
if it's with the Highlands, then you should be able to get it from the Highlands then.
Yeah, someplace we have, and we have a copy of the Highlands report. Of the 2012.
the Highlands plan.
Yes, the comments, everything else, but it just doesn't include
The actual
the
document,
actual document.
documents.
I would suggest you reach out to the Highlands Council and ask
We're
them.
reaching out
Yeah.
in
So, because
various
I-
places.
Yeah, I'm sure that they have it, and, you know, again, what we can do, what we're doing now is a review, the same as what we did in 2012. And, you know, we're looking at the things that this committee, that this board suggested that we look at for the future, and changes that we suggested to make back in 2012. And we're looking now to see, did we actually make those changes? Were they implemented? You know, what was done and what wasn't done? And then why? Are there any problems with not having done it? Things like that. So, you know, this isn't a new master plan that we're doing. This is just the review of the existing master plan. And
Yeah, it's looking at the issues from 2012, 2014, 2012, and see what's been exasperated, what's been fixed, what we can move on and do for the next.
I understand. I mean, it's.
basically, if we could try to find all of this and get some little, we can download it, put some links in there. And then we all have the history that at that point, you can build.
Exactly, and I mean, it's been a while since I've read the master plan. I don't remember it at all. It's a long time. So
It's very dry.
any explanation for the process and the elements would go a long way to help people like myself and the environmental commission to understand the process as well as the documents and who does what when would be helpful too, I think.
One of the important changes on the master plan is that we have to update our ERI. Okay, that is an important part of the master plan.
We were told that
The environmental commission is responsible for making those changes, and Jose was mentioning that there was a problem with that, but we have to get that as part of.
May I address that?
Yeah.
Please, since we're on the subject, we had our first meeting. And we're starting to lay out a process. And we're also starting to do outreach for the community to begin, if they get the copy, read it and give us comments. But also, we're gonna be asking that the planner make a presentation at the Environmental Commission to the residents, since we did have, I think, about $5,000 in the scope. That was for the Environmental Commission.
No,
Two.
it wasn't.
Well, we would like to have the planner come in at the right moment to make a presentation after we do the outreach and get people there. We're gonna be looking at it very carefully.
I do believe that's part of what you were gonna do.
It's gonna be a public hearing, it's gonna be here, and then so technically going to the environment, we would be outside scope, but we can.
It's not a public hearing, it's a presentation.
Well,
Yeah.
can the environmental commission be here for the public? I don't see
I
that.
was just thinking you combine them,
Exactly.
right, save some money. You might need it for the ERI.
Could I ask, what does that have to do with the ERI? The ERI is just a record of properties that have been preserved, that have been, farmland preservation, donated to the town to preserve open space, and, any streams or anything like that. So
And we're looking at
already
that.
have an
Yeah,
existing-
Jose, I think the ERI is, I don't think it's the open space and preserved properties, and it's there is an open space inventory, the Rossi.
Right,
Which
that's it.
Yeah, and that is updated. The administrator has worked on that with Carrie Owen from the DEP. So that I believe is already done. So we do need the ERI, but we just probably find the most recent one and just look at that as a base for the update.
Right.
And we had a discussion of all the changes across the property at the last meeting, and what's been added, what has been preserved, what rivers, etc. And we're trying to get to that, but that's also part of the overall master plan review.
That's what we're doing is master plan review.
But we have, at the Environment Commission, we are to review and report back and recommend. Not approve, report back and recommend.
So Jose, you want a presentation so people could give feedback?
Yeah, in a less formal manner. People could just speak out, ask questions, listen. Not everyone could get to these meetings. If we offer another opportunity, I think it's behooved us to have people understand the plan better. And also, show how open we are in the process.
May I make other recommendations? So I believe Princeton Hydro was the one who did the last ERI and the one before it, and I highly recommend them if they're still doing it, because I think they were excellent. So.
Thank you. Close the public. Oh.
Andrew Lafley, 3 Farrell Lane. Mr. Reyes, if you need volunteers for Mahakaway, anything that you do with Mahakaway, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. whether it's testing or any type of cleanup activities in regard to the environmental commission, please reach out to me
We'll
and I,
probably be using that because we're doing testing of salts various times. And we've asked for volunteers to do that, and that's how we've been doing it, so. Thank you.
please let me know however I can help. The other question is, based on the master plan, if it's just a review and not a revision overall, which was stated before it's not, then why would it have to go through the Highlands Council?
It's being funded through a grant, by the Highlands, and with it being in the Highlands too, the Highlands Commission needs to look at it and make sure it's consistent with their policies.
Okay, thank you. The basis of the question is because there's a rezoning that has been proposed for the 173 corridor, which is currently mountain residential. So if that's being rezoned from mountain residential to commercial, wouldn't that be a revision of the master plan?
So what the re-exam, what the master plans do is they provide the policy level stuff, and then that kind of stuff looks, we will review that kind of thing, and then the ordinances are prepared in order to actually provide the regulatory measures to it. So the master plan is really just doing the policy at this point.
So it's realistic to get a okay from the Highlands, even though that area is gonna be proposed as industrial from mountain residential?
It's something that we are still looking into. I mean, economic development is a thing that the Highlands is sensitive to, especially in, these areas, especially having a corridor, a highway corridor within town. It's something, it's something we're still working out and going back and forth on.
And everyone's aware there's a category 1 trout stream that goes through the area that's being proposed?
We have nothing for that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other comments? And comments on Zoom?
Thank you.
Take the motion to close public comment.
The move.
Second.
All in favor?
Can I ask a quick question? Is the water testing, is that being done for the master plan?
No,
Okay, so that's just a regular
yes,
environmental function.
yes, one of our members,
Right.
took that process on and
Okay,
did
so
a
that,
great job, presented to the township committee.
yeah, that was the process that I had asked, would have happened before we changed the animal zoning ordinance. Because that would have given us a baseline as to what the water was before we allowed.
Yeah.
so
And
many
at this
more
point,
animals.
it's just salt.
Well, okay, but I mean, I would think that fecal coliforms are much more important than just salt. I mean, considering that that is going into drinking water.
Considering Spruce Run gets closed every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, that's one of the biggest problems that Spruce Run now is fecal coliform.
Yeah.
Causing algae bloom.
Thank you, we'll take that on.
Okay.
All right, we have the Monday, September 11th. And 23 meeting minutes.
Just read it on.
And 1A3, I think that should say there one. Oh,
183 under old business.
yeah,
What was the correction?
says the was.
I'll make the motion to approve the September 11, 2023 meeting minutes with the one, fixer.
I found another mistake. 2-6. I said next meeting September 11th, it was September 25th, I should have said.
With those two corrections. So move. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Monday, September 25th. 2023 meeting then.
One change that I have before you guys, the members of the public, I only have Suzanne there, but I have Barbara Cochran and Kristen Ennis, and I did correct the spelling of Cochran.
And you also, under public comment, I made a motion and looks like I seconded it as well.
I'll check with the.
I think that was.
You were holding that then.
It's very efficient.
I think that was Jose right.
Yep, that's where it is.
Motion to accept the September 25th, 2023 minutes as amended.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? There.
I have nothing else to add for this evening.
He's not here. In subcommittee news.
Are we be getting together soon? Did we pick a date yet or?
Jose, let me know that today the dates are good for him, so I just have to put it on the calendar. I think it's the 6th and 7th. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think that's what they were.
So the next meeting for the subcommittee for the master plan review would be November 6th or 7th. I'll just have to get it on the calendar. So that's.
And you'll be seeing the second part of the draft, probably next week.
Okay. Well, super.
Any professional things? Anything you guys want to make on that? Board members? Josh?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Next.
Right.
Then,
Look at that, you're right, it's.